Welcome to Soul Busy. I'm Rach.
And I'm Carli,
Your CEO
and COO
sisters. We share unfiltered convo on balancing hustle with mindfulness
while running successful businesses with soul
and the real life between it all. Christine Soutter is the founder and president of Why Not Devin Foundation, which has a mission to end DIPG and support families that are currently dealing with DIPG. She is a divorced working mama of 4 boys, a podcaster, a 7-time marathon runner, and is passionate about being a lover of Second Life after experiencing the life-altering loss of her son Devin at the age of 6 to DIPG. She is sunshine. She is the ultimate inspiration. She is our friend. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you so much.
We love Christine.
I've loved Christine for a long time now. Just a beautiful human. I don't even know the timeline. That's wild.
It's actually weird. I don't even think I worked there and or maybe it was like in between college or something, and I met Christine.
Yeah.
Well, because of you.
Yeah, you entered my life at the era of like when beauty parlor was like coming to an end and parlor was coming into existence.
Yes.
So it's funny, like you're like straight up OG, like in our life and career and just all of this.
Yeah, you were like doing makeup on the side and you had beauty parlor, but you were still doing makeup.
Yeah. I don't even think people that listen to this podcast even know that I was a makeup artist.
Fun times, huh?
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's actually funny you bring that up.
I was her
don't
assistant.
even know.
She would take me and I would have to clean her brushes on the side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Literally with the...
On the side of the road?
I was a hustler.
Wherever we
like, with
were, it
makeup.
didn't matter.
But it's funny what makeup brought me to. It connected so many amazing people in my life, and like that's how we met. We'll talk about that, but I just want to kind of get right into, there's a lot to talk about today because you are just like a absolute inspiration in every area of your life, and we also haven't caught up in too long.
Way too long.
So God knows where this is going, but I want you to start by like going off on your story because it's long. There's a lot of facets of it. It's a winding road. It's still happening.
Yeah.
The story is still,
just never ends.
We're still alive and thriving. So I want to just, go off, Christine.
All right.
Tell us your story.
Should I start in 2017 or?
Yeah. Let's start with like
Devin?
your life. I would like to know a little bit about your life before diagnosis.
Okay.
And then if you could go into the diagnosis and Devin and like all of that would be wonderful, please.
All right. So I'm going to just start by saying, just like you guys have this great relationship with your mom, I was so close with my mom. She was the person who taught me a lot of what I am and have inside of my soul. And she passed away when I was 30. My oldest son, Colin, was 9 months old. She passed away on October 27th, 2005. And like I said, Colin was 9 months old. It was awful and brutal. And I thought the most devastating thing I could ever experience in my life. But I had Colin, and he was my focus. And after Colin, then I had Owen, and then I had Brendan, and then I had Devin. In 5.5 years, I had all 4 of them.
4 boys. Wow.
So 4
wow.
boys is absolutely
boys.
In 5 years.
insane.
Yeah.
That's like, you're like really mentally ill. Like, that's insane.
Yes. I would have had more too. I would have. And
Understood.
You're like my mom.
Yeah.
She literally could have had 100.
Yes. And I had C-sections too. All of them.
Ooh,
And they were
honey.
like, you can have 10 more. Yeah.
Wow.
But I would have had to have a good marriage. So,
So carry on.
yeah, we'll keep going.
The odds of all boys is like genuinely insane though. It's crazy.
And so Devin, my 4th, I was pregnant and due on October 27th, 2010. So my mom's 5-year angelversary. I didn't find out with any of them what they were going to be. And everyone thought the 4th pregnancy was a girl. Everyone's like, it has to be.
You didn't know the gender?
No, I didn't find out with any of them. I think it's like the best surprise. I love
You're one of
surprises.
those.
I am.
I
Yeah.
hate
Annoying,
them.
right?
Yeah,
I know.
I literally hate you.
I know.
Just
We
kidding.
don't see eye to eye
I
in
know,
that way. I
I
was
know.
just like, I need to plan the nursery.
I know,
Like, I
I know.
need outfits. Like, it's just not going to
You didn't have to plan shit.
Yeah, you
they
didn't
were
have to plan.
all
Yeah,
boys.
exactly.
Right. Oh,
Devin
exactly.
just like his diaper was socks, just
Yeah.
like socks from a previous baby.
No, because by the time you get to the 3rd boy, nothing is intact anymore.
Oh, understood.
It's shredded,
Actually,
dirty.
It's funny you say that. I'm entering scene into that right now. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, if I have another girl, when I have another girl, like I'm going to have I don't even know if that's true.
Yeah.
They're all destroyed.
Oh, yeah. And boys are
Yeah.
Disgusting.
gross. Yeah, they're gross.
Snotty.
So everyone thought I was having a girl, and I went and I was like, "There's no way it's a girl. It's a boy." I'm pretty consistent, like odds are. And I delivered Devin on October 27th, 2010, and my brother who is 3 years younger than me, super close with my mom, was at the hospital. He had been in Italy and California and everywhere else for other births of my children. And he was there for Devin, the first one. And he saw this woman walk by in scrubs, and she looked exactly like my mother. And my brother like sat up, went to look at her, and she got into the elevator and went up to the delivery floor at Brigham and Women's Hospital.
Whoa.
Where I was. And
On the day of her mom's birthday.
Wow.
well, the day she died and the day I was delivering.
Wait, I thought that was her
Devin,
birthday.
Her angelversary, the day she
her
died.
angelversary. Got it.
And so I walked in right after her. My brother was like, you know, he's this gigantic dude, and he was like dumbfounded. He was super emotional to be there for the birth anyway. And then Devin came, and he was a boy, and he was this 9-pound, 3-ounce, 1 week early, huge, happy boy. And we brought him home, and he was wonderful, and he was definitely the most charismatic, had to keep up with the other boys. He was in the lacrosse net at like 3 years old while his brothers ripped shots off him. He was just all four of them.
He was special.
He really was. And I did everything with all four of them. We went to the grocery store. Trader Joe's knew us well because we would be in there. They'd have walkie-talkies trying to find the lobster that they used to hide in there. And so January 2017, I always had them skiing and snowboarding. And Friday nights, there was a couple of us that went to Ward Hill. We got everyone out in the mountain, and my friends and I would have a glass of wine while all the kids skied.
She's a social girlie.
Yeah, I like being social.
Yeah.
And I like my wine, you know.
Yeah,
I
understood.
love wine too. Are you red or white?
Oh, I don't discriminate. I like it all. Yeah.
I don't like rosé.
I like rosé on a hot summer day.
You're funny.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
She's chic.
I would drink it all. I mean, I don't know what's chic. It's more what's around.
Rosé gives me heartburn. I'm like
Does it?
I'm like an agita grandma. Like, just don't. Yeah.
Just take some Tums. You'll be good.
Yeah. I have Pepsid.
Or that.
Yeah.
Either one. Yeah.
I do love wine though. I'm with you.
Carrying on.
Yeah, I like wine. So we'd had that. And then Devin was a snowboarder at 6 years old, and he was too young for like the group lesson. So he had a private lesson. And he fell, and the woman came in and was like, you know, he fell. I think he hit his head. Like, maybe just have him sit out for the rest of the day. So I was like, fine, the rest of the night. So I took him to get a burger, and he like fell. But he was so goofy and silly that it was like not really alarming. And then he went to pay for his burger and fell. And I was like, okay, maybe he's just like, he's 6. He's wild and crazy and whatever. So then he sat at a table, and one of my dear friends who's not an alarmist at all was like, his eyes don't look right. And when I tell you, my kids are so active, athletic, they're in everything. We've had concussions
Right,
from
of
like
course.
sledding down a table in my
boys.
backyard.
Yeah.
You're like
There's
prone to
concussions.
this.
Yes. I'm like, they're scary, but like we've had them.
I've been there, like, when you think there's a concussion, then you're like, hospital, no hospital, hospital, no
Yeah.
hospital. You're like, I don't know, because you don't want to
Yes.
go through it. They're not going to do the MRI. They're worried about the radiation. So it's like, do you take them?
Yeah. And they say, don't watch TV. And so you're like,
Right.
okay. And so, right. And so, we sat down, my friend was like, his eyes don't look right. So I was like, all right, it was a Friday night. He was in kindergarten. Then he fell out of the chair, and I scooped him up. We went to the first aid. First aid called like someone to come in. They were like, I think he's got a mild concussion. He has pain, like where his helmet is.
From that period of time, that was like within 1 hour, like he kept falling in that 1 hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And so brought him home. I wanted to take him to the hospital. My ex-husband did not. And I give him a lot of credit because I wasn't a very like quick to run to the hospital person at all. But I felt like this was something. But I'm grateful to have had that weekend that we didn't know. And so Monday, I brought him to the pediatrician. She's like, I think he's just got a mild concussion. He was goofy, silly, joking around. She's like, you can send him to school tomorrow. And side note, I had started running and training for my first marathon that I was supposed to run with Susan G. Komen. And so I ran 16 miles that day in January. And he went to school. On the way home, I was waiting for them. I get a phone call from a random number, and it's Owen, who was at that time in 4th grade, who was like, hey, Mom, this is the bus driver's phone. Devin's throwing up. So I was like, okay, concussion, throwing up, not good. Call the pediatrician. She's like, go immediately to the emergency room. If you think you can go to Children's, go there. But if you are really nervous, go to Framingham. So I was like, okay, scoop him up. And until that moment, I had never asked anyone for any help with any of my kids. We did everything together. We went everywhere. I took them all to practices. They all went to games. They all supported each other. And we go to the hospital. He's walking in. He's so silly. and they have no room for us. And so they get us into like the triage room, and the doctor's like, look, I have nowhere to put you. I'm just going to send you for an MRI because that's what we would do anyway.
Was this Framingham?
Mm-hmm. So we get in there and we go into the MRI, and I call my very dear friend who also thought his eyes looked weird. And I'm like, can you just come get Brendan? Which I'd never done anything like that in my life. I never asked for help.
I get that.
Once. Yeah. And I just was like and before
You needed to focus.
Yeah. I just had a weird feeling that I asked for help, and I was like, he can't be here. And the next thing I knew, the doctor came out. There's so many other stories, but we were in an ambulance to Children's where we met with a large team of doctors. They did tests overnight, and then at like 4:00 in the morning, they woke us up like frantically after poor Devin had just gone to sleep at 1, and they were like, wanted to make sure he was going to wake up. And I'm like, what is happening? And then we were met that morning with a huge team of doctors in a super sterile white room with 12 doctors who told us that he had DIPG, which was diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, which was not curable, not survivable, not treatable brain tumor. And they said, he has 8 months to 2 years to live if you're lucky. And
it's hard to hear the story.
It was not really real. And in my head, I just imagined myself on the ground, and I don't feel like I was on the ground. But
were you on the ground?
I don't know.
You just don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And the only thing I do know was I was like, okay, you're telling me 2 years. We have 2 years that I can figure this out and I can find someone. And that's what I heard.
I can find someone. Yeah. That was so you.
Yeah.
You were just like,
Well,
okay.
I love that about you.
Yeah. I was like,
You went straight to that.
Yes. And then
It was incredible to watch.
And I don't even know what I was doing, but my mom had breast cancer for 14 years, and she was supposed to live 2 and then 5. And she had such hope and positive attitude and like, this is what's going to happen. And so that was my thing. And I'll tell you, there was a little radiologist who walked in. This is
a little radiologist, like a little person.
She's a little person.
A little person.
She was tiny.
Like, you loved her?
I loved her, and she was the head of radiology, and she had this thick accent, and I don't remember what she was telling me about what was going to happen at radiation, and I just looked at her and I was like, can you just tell me, is there any hope? You can tell me everything else. We'll be there on Tuesday morning. We'll whatever, but all I need to know right now, is there hope? And she looked at me and she said, yes. After 12 people in a room told me.
I love that woman.
No,
I
me
think
too.
There's always hope.
Yeah, there is.
I think
But
there
I
has
needed-
to be, right?
Yeah, but I needed someone to tell me.
Do you know who that woman is?
I like her.
I don't.
She's
I really like
She's
retired.
a beautiful person.
Yes, she retired like 7 or 8 months after. And you said earlier, like, you just move forward, and that's me too. Like, I don't remember names. I don't remember
No.
things.
Yeah, I can't. It's not something, if you understand that, you understand that. But I was saying to Christine in the morning, I was reliving, as I was preparing for this episode, I was reliving that time period of all of our lives. And I forgot a lot because I live in a headspace where the past is the past. I'm living in the present. I'm not focused on the future, just right now.
Yeah.
So I have a memory problem sometimes with things like that. So that's what Christine's referencing.
I have a huge memory problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a
Sometimes you
problem.
have to,
I think it's
honestly.
selective focused, especially with having 4 children and a busy life. It's like you have to focus on what's at hand. Otherwise,
But you
you're not-
never forget.
You're not
That's-
present.
That's the thing.
Right.
It's like
Of course.
you keep him alive in the things that you do
Oh,
every
yeah.
day, which
Yeah.
I love.
All right. So
But keep going.
So yeah, and I'm sorry for making you cry. I feel
no.
that's always my-
I knew I was gonna.
To the exact point of that I just said, I forget the
Yeah.
details, to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest with you. So to hear them again is hard.
Well, and I think too, once you become a mom or you're
100%.
trying or you see this in your future, it's like it's the unimaginable.
Christine, I think about you more than you even know when I'm looking at my children, because I just know something different about you now than I did at that time, because I wasn't a mom when you
Yeah.
went through this,
Yeah.
when we became friends. I didn't know.
Yep. And yeah, you weren't even married actually.
No, I wasn't married. Yeah.
It's crazy. And so honestly, I think that's why so many people gravitated towards our cause too, because we were out in the community all the time. I had all 4 of them, and we were so relatable. Maybe not for kids because people thought I was nuts, but like the fact that we were out in sports and in schools. And
Why did people think you were nuts?
oh my gosh, people used to say in the grocery store all the time, like I'd have all 4 in the cart, and they'd be like, "Oh, 4 boys, God bless you." And I'd be like,
It's just something people say.
I know.
think they're
I'm
just
like, he
dumb.
did. Thank you. I have, at that time, healthy,
Yeah.
great children. And and they were all great, but, and then, yeah, it just, it was like a whirlwind, and we had, I will say, like in those darkest moments, it was like the community, the love that we felt from our people, my kids are still best friends with their people, the people that rallied around us and not only helped us fight to save Devin, but or gave us the ability to fight to save Devin, because we had to go to London. We went to Mexico to check out a treatment. There was nothing available here. Yeah. And then made memories. Like,
that's insane that there's nothing available here too, though.
It's come a long way that there are trials that are here.
And working. I saw one.
Well, it's not accurate.
Is it not?
And that's what's so hard, is that boy who's living and is thriving, it's amazing and it's so positive, but because he was diagnosed so long ago, he does not have the most aggressive common mutation of DIPG. That was hard. So many people reached out to me about that.
I would never reach out to you about that. That would be...
Well, that's my hope, is that I want to see
Well, of course,
people.
but there's also some pain involved in that. Like when I saw that post that day, I showed it to Erin and I was like, what is this? And we were both just like, we didn't know what to feel about it. We were just like, what is, who knows?
I mean, if a family doesn't have to go through that, right? Like that's the ultimate goal. But it's so much and thank God for so much awareness now that so many people know what DIPG
that's because very much so in part to you.
Thank you.
And your family.
And we just tried. And I feel like I didn't know what I was doing, but it was so important to me to keep my kids together and have everyone be a part of everything. And hope was most definitely my driver through that.
So take us through that like time period of like so he gets the diagnosis, he gets that radiation, that woman tells you there's hope. Then what happens? Like what went on?
Wow. So we had a Make-A-Wish trip, which was like incredible. We made memories. We somehow, Celtics and Patriots and Bruins and Kim Kardashian tweeted it like 2 weeks after Devin was diagnosed. She retweeted.
Didn't know that.
Yes. I didn't even tweet it. It was on Facebook, and she retweeted it, and my phone was like insane.
You were like I said this to Rachael, like a mini celebrity in Framingham to me. I didn't even know
I think
you.
A lot of people everybody knew what you were dealing with and supported you
in a wonderful way, because I think you spun it and made it your own, and like knowing that Devin got to do all of those things makes me so happy.
Oh my God. And the rest of my kids, right?
Yeah. And the rest of your kids. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Most people, right? That's your intention when you have a family or not even just with your partner, whatever you want to make memories, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. We made in 8 months and 3 weeks more memories that a lot of people make in a whole lifetime. My kids are like Colin, we went and met the Pope, and after I ran my first marathon, want me to tell you this quick story?
I want to hear every story.
Okay. So I was supposed to run the marathon, like I told you, for Susan G. Komen. My mom had died of breast cancer, and in January I ran that 16-mile the day Devin was throwing up on the bus, and I didn't run again. Susan G. Komen said, hey, look, you can have the bib. You can do whatever you want with it. You can run next year when Devin's healed, or you can not use it at all, whatever you want. And so one of my good friends who had run the year before was like, do you want to run together? We'll just run half of it. We'll run to Framingham. We'll stop. They made Devin the team captain for Team Framingham. It was Easter Sunday. Monday was the marathon. They delivered shirts to us on Saturday. My friend, the guy who runs Team Framingham was like, look, you're not going to stop in Framingham. The momentum will get you to like Newton Wellesley, which is like mile, I think 13, 14, or 16, 17.
16,
yeah, I should know this, but I have no recollection.
I honestly don't know why I even know that. That's super
literally
weird.
Why do you know that?
Don't know.
It's because it's where my dad
it's because you
took a left turn and got a Starbucks and then came back.
Probably.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I know. He also is insane.
Mental.
Yes. And so whatever, we're like, fine, we'll get on the tee at Newton Wellesley and we'll go into the finish line. No big deal. And 2 weeks before, I'd gotten a call from someone, or probably a month before that had been training the Pope and his people how to use Instagram and Twitter. And he knew of my faith and reached out and said, hey, listen, if there's a way that I can get you and Devin to Rome to meet the Pope, do you want to go? And I was like, I mean, but then I was like, how would I go do that without my other kids? And right now, like, flying all of my kids to Rome is not in the cards. He made that happen. And so he said,
insane.
He said, yes. He said, I want to fly your whole family there. So,
I love him.
And by the
Who
way,
was that man?
I can't tell you.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you
but
off.
it's someone like we know, you're saying.
You know of.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
someone, yeah.
Love him.
Yes, he's amazing. And so I don't really know him. I know, yeah. And so he said, oh, but by the way, you're going to leave Monday night, April, whatever Marathon Monday was. So I was like, okay. So I host.
Christine was just like, okay to everything. Fuck it.
Yes,
We're going to the
right?
Pope.
You were.
We're going to run a little marathon.
Yes.
We're going to go to
I'm
the
always
Pope.
a yes. I mean, I'm always a yes
Yeah,
anyway.
you're a down ass bitch.
I'm always a yes. So, so my brother-in-law, Jay, who's the police officer in Boston, made my tank top with a Sharpie and stencils that said Devin's mom. And yeah, with a Sharpie. And my girlfriend said, call me in the morning. She's like, hey, you want to go run a marathon today? So I was like, yep. So we get up, we go to Hopkinton on the Framingham bus. It's like a blur.
You're crazy.
It's a beautiful sunshiny day. We're walking. I see this woman with a boy, pictures all over, like safety pin to her singlet. And I was like, are you running for this boy? And she's like, yes, it's my son, Sully, and he has cancer. And I was like, what? And so we've become friends since. And I didn't even know that was the only interaction we had. She started following our story, and then we met, and she actually ran for my marathon team. But as I'm walking to the start, I get a call from the police chief of Boston PD who said, hey, Christine, he's a runner himself. And he said, I just wanted to wish you luck and let you know that Devin is going to be waiting a block from the finish line for you with a line of police officers.
Oh.
And I was like, fuck. Now I'm running the entire
Right,
marathon.
100%.
Oh my God.
If anything ever gets you to the finish line, it's
right?
that.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I can't get hurt because I'm getting on a flight to Rome tonight. So we ran, and it was like magical.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
I love that.
People, I mean, the sea of green all along the route was like the most crazy thing. We met two dads who, one lost their kid in Sandy Hook. They were running together, two best friends. That was mile 13 where we originally said we were going to stop running. We met I also, there was a guy who was running who had a black t-shirt on, and it said, I am stronger than a brain tumor. So sorry, the two gentlemen for Sandy Hook were at mile 16, 17 where we were going to stop. Mile 13 is this guy that has a shirt that says, I'm stronger than a brain tumor. So I run up to him, I tap him on the shoulder, and I was like, I'm going to need your shirt in 12 years. For my son who's going to beat DIPG and he's going to run. And he went, okay, it's amazing. It's yours. Yeah. And then I kept running. And then I grabbed my friend Lorelei and I was like, oh my God, I am the biggest asshole on the planet. I didn't even ask this guy about him. I didn't ask anything. I just only said something about why I needed his shirt that he's running with. And so the next water station, I'm looking all around for him. I can't find him. I keep looking. And then like 2 miles later, I feel a tap on my shoulder and it's this guy. And he's like, how's your son? And I was like, oh my God, I've been looking for you. I was like, I can't believe you know, like are cured. You don't have a brain tumor anymore. And you're now running a marathon and you inspire me. And I want this for my son when he beats DIPG. And he goes, oh no, I still got it. I'm like, you're running this with a brain tumor? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I got this. I can certainly
finish.
I can certainly run this. And then Devin jumped into my arms as you come around
That
the
photo.
corner.
I love that photo.
And that picture to me is something that I look at when I need motivation. I'm like, I just ran 26 miles, never running a marathon, never running more than 16. And my son, who at that point was on steroids, and so he was a little chunkamunka, and jumped into my arms.
So
I
cute.
remember Chunkamunka Devin.
Yes,
That was a
right?
really,
who
really
said
cute Devin.
Crazy things because he was
Crazy
on
things.
steroids.
Mhm.
Yes. And so he jumped into my arms and I held him. And then, we ran hand in hand over the finish line. And I wanted him to hold hands with Lorelei because she was running with us and he refused. And at first I was like, dude, why aren't you? She just ran a marathon. And now I'm like, because it was our moment. It was our thing. Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't, honestly.
Yeah. No, I know. So, yeah. And then we got on a flight that night.
And you went to the Pope.
we went to the Pope, and Colin, who had just been taking, well, actually before we got to the Pope, this will just make you laugh, we had to go in this building to go meet the director of communication who was bringing us to the Vatican, where we were supposed to meet with him one-on-one. And I was like terrified. I'm like, I'm going to literally faint. Like, how do you meet one-on-one? And we were late, which is part of the course for me always. And so we met him in the audience, which was amazing and way better. But we were coming down the stairs, and my legs gave out because I ran a marathon like 24 hours before, and I took Brendan down with me, marble stairs. And then we get outside and we had to go run like 3 blocks, and Devin's like, "Can you carry me?" So I was like,
Christine,
"Sure. Yeah."
you were just,
I mean, you're not going to say
It was
no.
just numbness, just pure
You're like
numbness.
a walking, like,
strength.
one of those green things
Literally.
outside the thing. Like, literally.
Yes. Yes.
What are those called?
At like car
Like the
dealerships.
car? Yeah,
Yes.
but you're
That's
specifically
Christine.
green.
She's a green one. I'm
Yes.
going to need a visual of that in this particular clip.
Or Gumby. My mom used to say she was Gumby in my pocket, and that was Gumby just stretching.
That's hilarious.
All over. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
So that's, I don't think that answered your question.
No,
I think
I'm
it
like
did.
taking a moment.
I'm
Honestly.
taking a
Yes.
moment. So
Do you
we're,
feel like you were mentally well during that time? Like, were you like,
I never thought
Good?
about it. Yes. I'll tell you only one. Yeah. I mean, yes, I had some times that I like, I mean, I say yes. No, I probably wasn't. Because now when I think back, it's such a tough answer. Like, I remember driving in my car at one point just screaming. It wasn't like an actual thought that like, okay, I'm going to scream now and let it out. I just was like screaming.
primal.
Yeah. And then there was a time that Paula came over to do Reiki on me, and I was like, my chest is
I remember that first time.
Well, yeah, but
explode?
yes, but this was later, and yeah, my chest was going to explode, and she did Reiki and maybe popped something into my mouth, and I was like, it like calmed me, yeah, like an Ativan.
Little
She's
heroin.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, just a little.
I don't think that would
I
calm
don't think
me.
you put that in your mouth.
No,
I don't know. What is heroin goes in the blood? I don't know.
No,
I've
I
never
don't-
done
me
fucking
neither.
heroin.
Me neither. No, it's not something I would
Lord.
choose. But yeah, I mean, I think I was so full of hope. Like, one of your questions, I don't know if we want to go in order, but
I don't care.
was like, did you tell your boys? And so we came home from the hospital on Colin's birthday, and I was like, I am not going to let him know or anyone know. Like, adults knew, but I wasn't going to let my kids know because I never wanted him to associate his birthday for the rest of his life with this. And I didn't know what I was doing. it just was listening to your...
There's no
Rule
playbook
book.
or rule
Right,
book.
none. And so, but it was just something that I was like in tune to. So we came home, and I will tell you, watching, Devin sat on the seat with him and singing happy birthday to to Colin, with Devin knowing and just being told he wasn't going to see another birthday was literally, I could have gotten an Emmy Award for that, because it was one of the hardest freaking things I've ever had to do in my life. But, so we didn't tell them for like a week. And I told you we were in Trader Joe's parking lot. I mean, Trader Joe's all the time. We were in Trader Joe's parking lot when I told them, in my car, my
Trader
Suburban.
Joe's got some sentiment to
What?
you guys.
They all came to Devin's
Why-
funeral.
They
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
That funeral was,
I love them.
Yes.
I have trouble driving down
Yeah.
that street in Sudbury thinking about
Oh, yeah.
that area for me is just all Devin.
Yeah.
Did Devin knew what that meant? Like, you said he knew.
Yeah,
Like,
did he understand what did he understand?
So he was not in the car when we talked to his brothers.
oh, okay.
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 Yeah, no. But we always just referred to it as the rock that we had to get out of his head. And that's what,
Right. I remember that.
yeah, we told the boys. That's what Devin knew. One of them asked in the back of my car. I don't know why we went there to that parking lot. I think it was like a familiar place to them, but not some place that like their school, or I didn't want to do it at home.
You're also just a mom living your life,
Yeah.
needing milk. You still need milk.
Yeah, we didn't
You
go into
still
Trader
need
Joe's.
snacks. Well, I'm just saying you're
Yeah.
just like living your life. So
And
like I
wine.
would imagine, and wine.
They have wine there.
They have a lot of wine there. I would
Yeah.
imagine you just needed to do it when it felt right in your soul. I'm sure it wasn't. Was it like planned? And
It was.
It was planned to go to the Trader Joe's parking lot.
Yeah, because it actually. So we went for a drive. And I was like, I didn't want to do it at any schools or church or anywhere like that. And then we just pulled in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
So it was planned to tell them, but not exactly where.
Scandinavian gummies.
Yeah,
just
And I was like, I'm
nearby.
going to go in and taste test
And you
some
were
of the
with
wine.
your husband at the time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
He was in the car?
there. He was there. Yeah. And we did make every decision together throughout that for Devin's diagnosis. Like, because that to me was really important. And so we made every decision, he and I together, and then with the other boys. But yeah, we just said it was Rock. One of them asked if he was going to die. And I was like, no, we're going to fight this thing. We're going to do everything we can to get it out. And we didn't.
Who asked that?
Colin. And, I mean, he was in 6th grade.
Right.
And so, you know, Brendan was in 2nd, Owen was in 4th. And he was only in the hospital for 3.5 weeks at the end.
Probably the toughest for Colin, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he understood it more.
Yeah, he actually, you know, just finished his freshman year of college and came back and was like, we were just chatting. I think that's, yeah,
He's
right?
old.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He's so
crazy.
handsome.
Good for him.
So handsome.
He is handsome.
Yeah.
I saw.
God.
And he's such
I
a
love him.
good boy. Yeah.
Such a good boy.
Yeah. And so
Where does he go?
Providence.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so he said, Mom, I don't know. He goes, this is really awful to say, but I don't know if I had to go through that now in life. And this is what would make me cry. But he's like, I don't know if I had to go through this now in life, if I would be the same. I don't know if I'd be okay. And I'm like, you don't know that because you only know what you were
know.
dealt.
Yeah.
Right. And what you went through when you went through. But they're all very insightful.
I really respect his analyzation of that. Like, he seems very in tune with.
Well, and that he was open enough to bring that up.
When you go through trauma young like that, though, like it really changes you. So I understand.
Yeah, but my kids used to make fun of me all the time, like, "Oh, Mom, the grass is green." Is it Devin? Mom, like they'd be like, they would joke. I mean, they're boys. I'm their mom. Like that's normal.
I love them.
But now that when he went away to college this year, he living in the present, really seeing those signs, really understanding. Like he became much more in tune and much deeper. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I think I love the word presence because I think back to you at that time. I didn't know you very well, and we talk about this on the podcast all the time, is be here now, right? Just like soaking in the presence. Mm-hmm. You really were just entirely present during that time.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had all of the memories that you had with so many different experiences with all the kids too.
Oh my God.
And I think it's funny, the reflective nature of looking back at that weekend where you didn't go to the hospital or that birthday moment that you were unsure. And it's something I say a lot is like, these are the good times. You know, I like to think about that. And, you know, you never know like what's going on, but it's just like to appreciate those good times, even with that floating over your head. I thought you did a really good job of that.
Thank you.
And you did a really good job of still appreciating what was beautiful right then without getting too caught up about what could be in the future.
Well, I respect your positivity. That is like
Convicted
like
positivity.
Literally though, like because people would
Crumble.
100%. Like I don't think people would get out of bed, and you knew you had other kids to live for.
I did. And myself, right? Like you have, I mean, so it's crazy. I have always believed everything happens for a reason. My whole life, that has been my mantra until my mom died. And I was like,
What's the reason for this?
what the fuck is that? Forget that, right? When Devin died, I realized why my mom died.
She's with him.
It's the only way that, I mean, I think that that's one of the reasons why I was okay, is because I knew she was there to meet him and she would love him and have the best times with him. And he was sent from her 1,000,000%.
yeah.
Their like sense of humor, their cackle, their love of green, their everything. And so I just think, you have such a different perspective when you have like trauma. It makes you, or it doesn't even have to be like so
Serious.
enormous trauma,
enormous,
right?
yeah.
It's like, but it makes you realize like without failure, you don't really know how good success is. Without,
The contrast of it all.
Did you like truly believe he was going to make it?
Yes.
Like you were like convicted by that thought.
Yes, because I said there's no way my mom sent him here to heal me, to then take him away.
When was the realization that wasn't in the cards?
Only when we brought him home on life support.
You were like,
Truly, until those last breaths, like I was like, his brain just needs some time to heal. We did a second round of radiation. I was like, but now having time to reflect and to heal and to learn, she sent him here to save me because, I was in a really bad marriage. I was, you tend to sweat the small stuff if you don't have a view of the bigger picture.
Totally.
And so, and so many other, ways, like I lover of Second Life. It's not just Joe and I, my boyfriend, joke around like we love Second Life. We're so lucky to have found each other and to have the Second Life, but it's not just like that in a relationship. It's when something happens that changes the trajectory, and maybe it's career, maybe it's whatever, but it's whatever that second life that's supposed to be your life.
I get that.
Yeah.
Cosmic.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful, everything you just said, that entire excerpt.
you.
So why not Devin? Was what everybody knew. Everybody in the town lit their houses green. They exchanged their light bulbs. I think some people still have green light bulbs.
Yep.
Everyone wore green. It was a national, I guess, campaign awareness. I don't know what you want to call it.
It's a national holiday to me.
It's
Yes.
a national holiday
To
at
all of
Parlor
us.
and in Framingham. And why not Devin, right? Like, that's what everybody said, and that's what Devin said. I was looking back. Was that Devin that came up with why not Devin from that interview? Like, because I thought that was from that news interview when they were like
No,
asking him questions.
So then he would say, why not myself? Because I,
Right.
from the very beginning, was like, someone has to be first. Why not Devin? Like, okay, you're telling me like someone was first to beat pneumonia. Someone was first to beat leukemia. Someone was first. And I truly believed in all my being that Devin would
be the first.
Yeah. And so now too, when I we send grants out to families, like they can use it for medical treatment. They can use it to pay their bills. They can use it to go on vacation. It's whatever helps alleviate a little bit of that financial stress. I always write, someone has to be first.
I love that.
Yeah. Because at some point it
Should
has
make
to
a bracelet into that.
Someone has to be first. I feel like
was a good idea.
That's not a good bracelet.
Why?
Who wants to wear that? That's just not nice.
Be. We have why not Devin bracelets.
Yeah, why
so
not?
those are
I
good.
think why not Devin is good. All right, let's talk about your community a little bit. Like
Yeah.
This interests me, actually. I'm very interested in this question.
I'm like an extroverted introvert, like would need my time alone, I think you got like really clobbered in like a good way, right? But also then like in a way where it's like, we've been through portions of trauma, but when people say shit, like sometimes it's not what you want to hear. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes people overstep in the wrong way, or sometimes it's the complete opposite
invasive.
and it's really positive. Like I'm sure community can be both. Like give us the tea. Like what's annoying that people say? I want to know that. And like, tell us about like community in general for you.
So our community was like so freaking amazing. Like, people like, I didn't have to think about food. I didn't have to think about, like people offered to take my kids to their sporting events, or people offered, like, it was so much, but it was sometimes so much that those few people, they called themselves the A team, became like almost like a wall for us. Like, because there were some people who I didn't know at all who became like crazy focused, crazy wanting to do stuff that were like, no, we don't know. And everyone,
Like what, Christine? We don't want to call anyone out.
Everyone tried to do things. And at that time, you're just like so fast forward that it was like, okay. And everyone wants to, like, I feel like everyone wants to be a part of it, and everyone wants to do something.
Feel important too in the
well, and like, but be helpful and like make a difference, because here, like, no one knows what to do. Like, it's the first time I know for a long time that happened in our community.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like really great. But then what happened is, like, after Devin passed away, I hate when people say they lost someone. I'm like, or when did you lose Devin? I'm like, I didn't freaking lose him. I know where he went. Like, so
that phrasing.
That's something that bothers me. Yeah. And it's no one's fault. Some people don't know what to say. And
what would you prefer?
Well, I'm so like blunt, and sometimes it's probably makes people like, I'm like, Devin died.
Yeah.
Well, wait, at the beginning of this, I said
pass away.
life-altering loss.
Is pass away okay?
Well, it's a
Of her
loss.
I asked
son.
you that.
It's
Okay.
a loss. It is a loss, 100%. But I didn't lose him.
Got it.
Right? So when people are like,
Like you had those moments, you remember him, you keep him alive in things. I understand that.
yeah, like he's not like
He's not missing at a water park.
right. Yeah. So exactly, that's what I mean. Like, I didn't lose him. He's like,
Maybe he's at a water park today.
maybe he probably is. Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah, likely. And so afterwards, I felt like I had to keep up with everyone who gave. And it became, and then,
I'm so sorry.
and that, well, I had to learn. Everyone's so good, but I had to learn, like, my time is also, and my kids really needed me. And then I was going through a horrible divorce. And so I had to really kind of take a step back. And I also had to learn, like, people people are really good. 90% of people are really good. And then there are some people who are like, I had to learn not to care what people thought and said of me because I was so offended. Like, I know, yeah, people were like,
I'm like,
yeah, like, and I'd be like, unless you've walked in my shoes, like, please don't judge me in what I'm doing. And there were
so funny how people turn too. Like, I don't like that.
some people
Dislike.
did. Yeah.
Like, what are you referencing? Like, could you give a light example?
Like some people said stuff that maybe if I didn't focus on being in the media, that I would have had a better time saving Devin. That was probably the most hurtful thing ever. And I'm like, I didn't ask
I never heard that.
or reach out to anyone.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was
Sick.
like the most gut-wrenching thing that someone could say to me. Like, I did everything to save my child, but also we raised awareness because now I've had people who like have had their own child reach out to me and who've heard of DIPG or like know of someone. But yeah, that was like a awful thing.
Okay, but also maybe you were trying to enjoy for like 2 years when someone gives you like a date your child's not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's just people are just don't understand, and then they make comments, and that comment is really hurtful, and it's not anyone's place to make a comment like
Yeah.
that at
You
all.
didn't ask for this.
right. I didn't ask
didn't
for
ask
this.
to meet the Pope.
If you
No.
could not be in the media, I think you would have preferred to not
You're
be in
half
the
dead
media.
again.
You would have
One
preferred to be in your
bazillion
little. You would
percent.
have preferred to be at the baseball field, Trader Joe's,
Yes.
picking up Scandinavian gummies, drinking your wine, going to sleep, and having nothing to do with Channel 5 News.
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine that would have been the choice.
The only thing I would add would be to be divorced. But yes.
and not the divorce. Well, yeah, that's
love
a
the
whole
little side
other.
divorce
I love
comments
this
kill me.
the divorce sprinkle.
Yes, yes. So, and the other comment I'll just say, just so if anyone hears this is listening and has something similar, people would say to those closest to me when they heard the story, like if they didn't follow the story and know that I had other children, does she have other children? And my very, very best friend, Jen, used to get so offended. She's like, my comment always wanted to be like, which one of your kids would you give up? Because it was that offensive. Like, oh,
I don't follow exactly.
Oh, I think they're saying like she'll be fine because
she has other kids.
3 more.
Does she have other kids? Great, she'll be okay. Yeah, and I don't think people think through that. I think it was just like a thing, and I think some people meant like, okay, she can focus on them, but some people, yeah.
I'm not even going to acknowledge that. That doesn't even. I can't. Yeah. I'm not. What about like when people would say to you like, "You're so strong"? That's something we've talked about in the past. Like when you're going through a time when you need mental resilience, like you don't really have a choice.
You didn't have a choice. Yeah.
So like it's just sort of like it's like I'm not saying be sensitive. I'm just saying like in general, like you're just like, yeah, cool. I'm not actually that strong. I'm just fucking living.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
I think honestly because it was such a whirlwind, like Devin's diagnosis came out of nowhere, and then I went through a crazy divorce, and then so like honestly, any compliments, I was like, thank you, like that affirmation or that like
Kept you going.
was great. Yeah, because I was like, what is happening in my life? Like, but it was just like I never really stopped to think about it, and if I did, it was that crap. I got to keep going, but no one knows how strong they are until they have to be.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Until you test your strength.
Yeah.
There's so many ways you could deal with it. I feel like you dealt with it the best you could.
Yeah.
The best you knew how.
What did you learn from this entire experience? Like about yourself, about your kids, about
Life.
loss? Like I know I'm not saying you lost him. I'm just saying you lost.
No, that
baby.
is loss. Yeah,
I think it is still
I'm like
loss.
scared to say
I
it.
know.
I'm
No,
like,
no, no,
I don't
no.
want to be offensive. I
No.
just want to understand.
I like to know
what
to
did
say.
you learn?
Oh my God. We could be here for the next 5 hours.
Let's
I
do
want to
it.
hear the lessons.
But I did so much work after. Honestly, even like listening to Oprah's Super Soul. Like I would listen to that in my car, and certain things like right after Devin died, there was an episode with a family, and she had a daughter and 2 boys, and one of the boys died like a month after he was born. And this therapist was talking to them, and he was like, now the surviving twin was like 5 and the daughter was like 8 or even maybe a little bit older. And she could not get past what her son who died wasn't getting to do. And the therapist was like, look, you have a twin, you have a son here and you have a daughter, and they are going to have all these milestones, and they can never compare or measure up to your son that you lost. And so if you continue to do this, everything that they do won't really matter. And it was such a revelation to me to never like, oh, Devin should be graduating. Devin should be going on a date. Devin should be getting his license. So like I treat everything that each of my kids has as their own milestone, their own exciting thing, their own everything, without trying to take away and measure Devin up to what could have been.
It's very interesting.
So I think that is one thing. And
That's hard.
Yeah, it is. But once you like hearing that real life with another family and what it was doing to that family was so meaningful to me and was stuck with me. I don't remember a lot, but those things I remember. And then I think that just like my glass is always, like your mom says too, I was like, your mom's my spirit animal, half full. I've always been like that my whole life, but there is always like, I remember New Year's Eve going into 2018 and everyone's like, are you so happy 2017 is over? And I remember thinking, I had the worst heartbreak ever in 2017. It was my worst heartbreak of my life. But the memories that we had and the love that we received from everyone and the bonds that my kids and I had together, like I wouldn't,
forever.
yeah, I
There
wouldn't.
was beauty
They're
in it.
priceless.
So much
You
beauty.
find beauty everywhere.
Yes.
You can find beauty everywhere. You can choose happiness every day.
Yeah.
You can.
And it doesn't mean what happened to you doesn't fucking suck.
Right.
Like it
100%.
sucks.
Yeah.
But you did find beauty in it somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Well,
You're an inspiration.
in it all,
You're welcome.
this was a tough question, I think, to write, but does like happiness ever make you have guilt?
No, but I did feel like sometimes in the beginning, like if I was something great happened and I would feel like I had to like downplay it to someone else.
What do you mean?
Like not my closest people, but like if there was something great, can't even think of an example, but even like just going out and having a great time and someone else, I'd be like, well, like the January after Devin passed away, my 3 best friends, like including my sister, my stepsister from childhood, my 3 from college, my 3 from adulthood, took me to Aruba. And
That's awesome.
It was the best trip ever. And also like the weirdest. So because it was like, just a couple months after I was separated, and it was like we were going on this amazing girls trip, having the best time. And like at points, I think we all found ourselves like stepping back, like, is this real life? Like what is happening? And so I definitely cried a little bit. And I feel like when I came back from that, I also felt like I had to like downplay it a little bit, because not really for myself, but like my kids. And then
You're like, it wasn't that fun.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or you shouldn't be having fun
Yes.
right
No,
now.
I
Like
respect
fun's
you.
not
Like,
allowed.
You should. You
Yeah.
should.
So I don't think that way now. I feel like,
Yeah.
even through everything, I feel like everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own things they have to learn. Everyone's got, and even like with Devin, like I think Devin's purpose here was so much bigger than, like for me, I think he was sent to me to save me. But Devin, you have feelings of Devin and his dad, his brothers, his best friends, I know one of your questions was medium, and I've worked with a couple of mediums and spiritual healers and things like that. And one of the spiritual healers used to tell me that like Devin used to come to people I didn't know. And at first I was like, okay, like, come on. Like, are you kidding? Like, that was just my initial like phases of grief, I guess, which I don't even know what those actually are. But then the more I like stepped back and thought about it, I'm like, Devin does and gives so much to different people. Like he had so many different purposes here. And the more you can like be open to that, it's like, it's so beautiful. It's like
so
an amazing
beautiful.
thing how many people's lives he's touched and he was here for 6 years.
Did the mediums ever tell you anything of like him coming to you or anything like that?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And not knowing anything. And I've seen him twice.
Really?
Yeah. So he, like a week after he died, I was in my kitchen and I shut the door and the refrigerator like light on the outside was out and something whizzed by me. Like this light just whizzed by. And people probably listening are going to think I'm nuts, but
No, I believe that.
But it's really true. Yes. And then one time, like maybe a year later, I was getting divorced. It was one of the first time my kids were at their dad's, and I was by myself in our house, and I was just laying in bed and like relaxing, and I could feel him so strongly, and then I could hear feet down my hallway.
100%.
Yeah, it was.
He's also a bee.
He's a bee.
I remember at the funeral.
They were everywhere.
They
They
sitting
were
in the parking lot.
everywhere.
There were
Yes.
bees everywhere. And we were like, he's a bee.
Do you remember? We went out to my car, you two and your mom and me, and you were like putting makeup on me, and we were like, what? Like the bees were everywhere. They stung his friends, but he was my only child out of 4 to get stung, and he got stung a freaking lot.
That's very odd. I forgot about that correlation.
Yes.
So your mom's a dragonfly.
And one
Devin's a
time
bee.
he got stung 6 times in our front yard.
What?
Yes.
Christine? Yeah, these correlations are very odd. I mean, not odd, it's synchronistic.
no
I'll
coincidence,
use
yeah.
that word, synchronistic.
Yeah.
I want to just go back to something you said about like Devin touched a lot of people, but I also like Devin was a part of the journey for me when I was at that point in your life, but it was more about you, to be honest with you. Like I didn't know Devin. I didn't have a connection with him. I was very sad for the story and for him and all of that, but you were a beacon of light. And I found watching you to be just interesting. You were truly convicted in your belief, and you were positive, and you were radiant, and you were an amazing mother to your other children that needed you. And you were never broken down and crying on the floor.
You also were like, well, sometimes I bet you were.
Yeah, and when you found me, I was a shell,
I know.
right?
Yes,
But
I
you
remember
also,
that
I
day
remember
very
when
clearly.
I met you, like we didn't even talk about what was happening in your life. Like you were like asking me questions, asking Rachael questions, meeting my mom. Like
It's just always lovely.
yeah, you are lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely.
But I also feel like you talked about community, but I also feel like, like what you guys have done for me and making me come in for a blowout once a week.
Made you. She would make me text you and say,
Yes.
get her in.
Okay, but I didn't know that your mom did this when she was going through everything too. Like I listened to her talk about this and like with tears in my eyes, goosebumps all over me, like how full.
About my dad.
No.
Oh, she's talking about when dad was in jail and mom continued to get blowouts and
because she took care of herself. Like, and then fast forward, you guys did that for me. And then Nina came in and did a blowout in the hospital.
You remember that day. We all talk about that.
Oh my
day.
God.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life, you have no idea what that did for me that
She's
day.
sweet for doing that.
And she was terrified going in there.
She was.
I hadn't even met her before, and she had some things with hospitals that she was like anxious and going in. And Devin was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks, and I left 3 times. One was to walk down to the Target because I needed like
the Target.
Yeah.
Underwear.
Yep. And exactly. And then the other 2 were like coffee breaks, but I did not leave, and I barely showered. And I think when Nina did my hair in the sink in that hospital room, I probably hadn't showered in like 4 days.
Probably smelled bad.
I probably did, but I had gorgeous hair.
Yeah, that's all that mattered.
It was like such a game changer.
I think it's part of, Carli and I prepped for this. Like, there's no amount of self-care that can take away what you were going through to diminish how serious it was. But to look good, to feel good, allows you to take on more in a more graceful manner.
Yes.
I think that's just a fact of life.
Yes.
Or maybe smile for 5 seconds.
Yeah, just a little bit of happiness. We were, I think, meant to be in your life at that phase. That's why I'm saying for you and to support you.
Yeah.
Like we were meant to be a part of your life,
Oh yeah.
Devin was a lesson too for me to watch his strength, but you were the strength. You behind Devin, and it deserves the credit. Honestly, like you were grace and our
Thank
grace.
you.
Truthfully,
What's so funny about that story about the word grace is that my mom, was born on a Tuesday, and so are my brothers. And my mom used to always say, "Tuesday's child is full of grace." I don't know if you guys have heard this before, and you both know me. I am the least graceful person, like physically.
I think you're graceful.
Physically, I am a klutz. I am like, I went up to 2 different floors here, like I'm a spaz. But now grace means something very different to me.
Yeah.
But I used to laugh hysterically because I am not graceful.
So can we go back to the medium for a second? Like, tell us more about different moments, and also
very interesting.
But also, we had a weird moment with the Oreo cookie dog. Wasn't that a medium? Was that the same medium?
I don't know.
Remember?
I don't remember.
So I brought my like 5-day-old puppy Harry in a Whole Foods
5-day-old. You thought he was like 10 weeks.
He was literally 5 days old, and he
She
was
brought
supposed
him
to
to
be a
my
teacup.
hotel room and with fleas in San Diego. So yeah.
I put him and worms. I
In
put
the
him
hospital.
in a Whole Foods bag and met Christine at Children's Hospital. Snuck my dog into the hospital to make her happy, but then one of the mediums said something to you about
Yes.
the Oreo cookie dog.
Yes. Oh my God, you're so
Right?
right. Yes. So I've seen a couple, and this woman, and all the connections, this is something else I want to, like, you've brought other connections into my life, but I went to go meet this medium. Jess Leap and I went.
Love Jess Leap.
Right? And you also, we met for the first time in your chairs.
Yeah, I remember I was like, oh, you two turn
Yes.
to each other now.
Yes. And she's like, people
Your best
think
friend.
we've been friends
I
our
know.
whole lives. I feel like we have. But she and I went to go see this medium that a friend of ours set up. The woman had no idea who we were. She didn't tell them our names. She didn't say anything. We met at a friend's house and we sat down, and the woman, she's an empath, Emily Fitch, and she like had this overwhelm of like emotion. And she talked with Jess a while and said, knew everything about Jess. And then, talked about, she said, oh, I have a pain in the back of my head. She's like, I'm feeling this pain, and I see like an army and Devin's army. And then she said all these like things. And yes, she said, I forget, I have it written down somewhere.
You called me and you were like freaking out.
Yeah, because she talked about the Oreo cookie dog coming into the hospital and like what it meant. And then, she also talked about my ring. She said, your mom keeps telling me that there's a ring that you have of hers that she wants you to wear. And now I have her like diamonds. I have her, I have all of her stuff. And I was like, all right, I don't really know. And
It's green.
So when I was a buyer for Bloomingdale's in my first life, and I got my mom a mother's ring, and I had it made for her. And my brothers and I are all pink. So I was like, well, that's kind of boring. So I didn't want to get an all pink. We're all June. But my mom is
Every single
May.
one of you
Yeah. And so,
was born in June?
yes.
That's really weird. Is there 3 of you?
Yeah.
What?
And then they both had the same due date.
That's really bizarre.
Oh yeah, and I'm June 10th, and then my next brother Dave is June 20th, 3 years later, and then the next brother's June 30th, 3 years after him, and they were both due on my parents' wedding anniversary. But so my mom's mom is also born in June, and my mom's May. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do the emerald for her, and I'm gonna do my mom, my grandmother, my mom, and me. So and my brother. So I made that for her, and then it's green in the middle and pink on the outside. You can't. I mean, I'm sure I didn't spend.
Weirdly looks all green to me. I don't
Really?
know why. I don't know.
Because the other ones are like dirty, and I'm sure I've tried to have them cleaned, and I got it from Bloomingdale's, but I'm
sunscreen
sure
in
it
there.
wasn't. So
now
super
you
clean.
don't take it off.
So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then like 6 months later, I was like, I came across it, and I was like, oh my God, I love this ring, and I'm wearing it. And then she came to meet with Jen and I in my house, and she was like, that's the ring. That's the ring that your mother was telling me about. And I never said like, I didn't say anything about it. She was like,
Wow.
And then so with Devin, she told me a lot of stuff about Devin, but what she told me was that she was in my house. She was in that back room where you first found me, where Devin passed away. But it's my office now, and it has like a day bed in it. And she was sitting in there at the table, and she was talking about all these things. And then she's like, did Devin pass away over in that corner? And I was like, yeah, he did. And she was like, I feel him there, but he also peeks behind doors to see you. And she just was like, he's always, touching your hair. He's always letting you know that he's there, and he's so proud of you. And yeah.
Do you, like in your faith and your belief, do you believe that there's like an afterlife, that he's like with you right now, or do you believe that he's someplace else? Like
Both.
Okay. What,
Has he ever been like
what do you
with your
visualize?
mom? In the medium say that they've like
Oh yeah.
met?
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay,
oh no, they're
okay.
together. Yeah, she's told me
Okay.
they're together. My mom was an artist. They paint, they laugh. They both were like super big pranksters and jokesters, and so they played jokes. And they were like, every time the lights or like your phone
Dragonfly just came out right to the window.
Really?
Right there.
Oh my
Right
God.
there.
Okay. Yep. So that's my mom. Yeah.
That's weird. Look.
That's
Look.
her. Yeah.
And she flew away.
And then you know that a bee is always outside.
It's back.
Of
She's
Aaron's.
back. It's back.
Wow. Okay.
That's really crazy.
But there's no coincidence. That's legit her. And that's how I first started seeing dragonflies. So I'll say this real quick.
I was wondering why you were freaking out.
I know.
I almost just fell off the couch.
I know.
Jesus.
I hit you. Dragonfly. That's weird.
She's like, all right, you
That's
idiots.
synchronistic. She's like, shut up and get back to your day.
She's like, start laughing. Don't cry and be sad. So she was always such a prankster and a jokester. April Fool's was her most favorite day. And the year before she died, she painted dragonflies on everything. And so when she died, we started seeing dragonflies. They showed up in the craziest places. And then as my kids were born and got older, they would always say, there's an angel, every time they'd see a dragonfly. And dragonflies show up in the craziest places. So then when the bees all were around at the funeral and started stinging everyone, and now they've showed up in crazy places, crazy, we all know it's Devin. It's such a comfort, right?
I've talked to Devin before as a bee.
Yeah.
I tell my kids too about Devin.
Really?
Oh yeah. There was
Oh
a
my
bee
God,
the other day in the Cape, and I said, "That's Devin." And they were like, "Who's Devin?" I went off and told the whole story. I was like, "It's a little boy that I knew, and he's here right now with us, and he's an inspiration." I try to keep his memory alive, his spirit alive. You know, like it's not. I don't look at death as death. You know, he's just not here physically.
Yeah.
But he's with you spiritually.
100%.
He's here. I know that.
Yeah.
No one could tell me differently. I know he's here.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
There's comfort in that.
And that's what I think it's that, like, you guys helping me continue to tell my story, everyone who tells Devin's story, everyone who, like, is impacted by Devin, or everyone, like, that's what keeps his spirit alive. And that's why, like, everyone's like, how are your kids? And I'm like, my kids are amazing. They're amazing. They are thriving. I mean, they've been until today. Could that change? Of course. And then you reroute and you figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But like everything they've been through, they are amazing. And that is in part because of our community, the support they have, the love they have. And they see like signs of Devin everywhere. And we also talk about him still so much, not in like a
morbid way.
Right. Or not like, where would Devin be now? It just is part of our conversation.
Like Devin would love that.
He's part of your existence. It's not like you don't I like that. He shouldn't be a taboo topic. That's like, he should just be part of the conversation.
Yeah. And that happens to people. And
because of pain.
Yes.
But you do self-work, and that's the thing. The self-work allows you to have clarity, which allows you to be able to talk about it and live presently with your children.
And the boys need to move on and like enjoy their life too.
Yeah. So
I'm happy they're doing life is for the living.
I feel like, you never move on, right? But you
forward,
not you move forward. And that's like another big thing that I like. You take everything with you, everything you learn, the good, the bad, the ugly, like the beautiful, it all goes with you. And that's what creates tomorrow and the next days. And,
tell us about your life now.
Oh my God, it's good. I'm like in a really learning. I feel like I learn every day. I grow every day. I feel like the more you talk to people and listen to them, the more connections you figure out, and the more you realize like how connected the world is.
I agree. But that does require to open your ears and your mind.
Yeah. It's like
without staring at your phone.
Yeah.
Like listening to someone. I like that about the podcast. I like that I'm here fully present listening to you.
I love that too.
It's rare.
And I love being able to just have like conversations and meeting people. Like when I first started dating, I was on the dating sites or whatever, and I was just thinking, okay, I'm going to meet people. I wasn't like, this is going to be my next boyfriend. This is going to be, whatever. It was like, all right, I'm going to meet people. It's great. And I have had to kiss a few frogs, and now I've found like my prince, I think. And so
how long have you been dating?
2.5 years.
Nice.
He moved in February. He has 3 kids. Our kids are literally 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and Devin should be 13. So when I tell you, so his oldest he has a daughter who's 18.
That's weird.
Right?
You have a lot of synchronicities like that. There's just like a lot of little things.
Yeah, I know.
It's your mom.
100%. And I just think it's like, I don't know, being in tune, and our kids look alike. People are, and like, so I have my kids full time now. He has his 16-year-old full time. His 14-year-old is with us half the time. So
they all live in your house?
Mm-hmm.
Christine.
So yeah.
You even have rooms for that?
Yeah, we redid the basement.
There's your kids. You said you weren't done having kids.
No,
there
I know.
You go.
And my house is full of boys. Like
there's no girls? No, one girl.
She lives with her mom full time.
Okay.
But so like I love listening and hearing all the boys, and they're all joking around, and they were like nervous when they were moving in. Like my kids were a little nervous when Joe's kids were moving in. It was seamless for them. They are,
What do you make them for dinner?
a lot.
Like that many boys who are teenagers?
Yeah. It's
Wow.
it's a lot. It's a lot of
I
food.
can't even cook for myself.
That's a lot of food.
Yeah, we do BJ's. We're like,
Yeah.
we go to BJ's, Whole Foods.
You no more Trader Joe's.
We know I still go to
okay,
Trader Joe's.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
of
good.
course.
Trader Joe's is great.
And I can buy my wine there.
Grilling is good.
We grill all
I
summer.
grill because
yeah.
you could just throw them all on all at once.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the logistics. Like that must be two
Is
pans
that
of food.
7? 7 boys?
6.
6.
Yes. I'm like, 6
That's
boys.
8
And then
people you're cooking for every
yeah.
day.
And then my kids always have friends over, which I love too. I'd rather them be at our house. I love, like, my son came home from college. His friends were all over like immediately. They all know like my house is the house. It's like
That's awesome.
Comfortable.
This makes me so happy. And what's really crazy, and this is how there's no coincidence and everything, like, is connected. So Joe, when we first met, we met on Bumble, and
Bumblebee.
Yeah, and so we first met and we were talking. He followed my story because there was a girl in his town whose mom I'm friends with, who passed away from DIPG 3 years before Devin. So when Devin got sick, Joe followed it on the news. So the night I first met him, he's like, I hope you don't think I'm a scumbag, but I have to tell you this. And I was like, okay, like now I'm afraid. What are you going to tell me? And he's like, I watched you on the news with your son fighting for Devin. And he's like, and all I thought was, she's so beautiful. And
I love him.
yeah. And I was like, you thought I'd think you were a scumbag for that? I'm like, he's like, well, you were fighting for your son.
Right,
and
right.
I'm like,
the context.
oh, I was like, no. I mean, if you thought
You
I was
still want to be hot, even
yeah,
when you're fighting
well,
for your son.
I was like, if you thought I was beautiful then,
Yeah,
like,
what
now
do you
look
think
at me
now?
now, right? And we met when I had COVID, and he feels like he knew Devin because he watched that, he knew it.
That's an
and
important piece of your life. I'm glad
Yeah.
he feels connected to it.
yeah, 100%. I mean,
I love a Joe.
he does. Yeah, I know you do. I
Love
know.
a Joe.
Well, see, we got that asynchronous.
That's
that-
really
is
nice.
that really-
synchronistic?
synchronistic? Yeah.
What'd you say? Asynchronous?
Asynchronous? I don't know.
The
I
hell is
tried
that?
to.
I'm an asynchronist.
All right. Now, honestly, tell me how much green you have in your closet.
That's a good question.
I know I have a lot, but you know what's crazy is that I'm starting to not wear as much green because I think it like all has to do with like your chakras and like what is like yellow is something that I really gravitated toward, and now I think it's blues because it's like cool and calming and
Yeah, like so I'm gothic, and like the only time I wear color is
I have
like
to order
on
something
Devin
from
Day.
Amazon
Every year
for
I have
Devin.
to order one green sweater.
I love you.
For Devin, and I even through my pregnancy stages, like I had a maternity green
And
sweater.
we'll yell at the salon. We're like, it's a specific green.
Yeah, we,
It's,
like, make an
actually not an
announcement.
olive green.
I love you guys. I love you. Remember I came in like right around that and you were like, and you're not in green. It's the only day I've seen you not in green.
Literally.
I know.
Wait, was his favorite color green?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Green Lantern was a part of it all.
Yeah, but my mom's favorite color was green too, which is like just there's so many similarities. Which Paula, like the first time I came in for Reiki at beauty parlor, was Paula
In my
was like,
original office.
yes,
That was my first space where you got
Yes.
Reiki.
I know, and she was like the connection between your mom and like Saint Therese, and my mom is Mary Therese, and like all these.
Paula was a really big part of your journey too.
Yeah, today's her birthday.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Happy
that.
birthday, Paula.
Happy birthday.
She
So
said to
another
give you-
synchronistic
Yeah.
moment.
Yes,
Love Paula. Paula's a Reiki master and psychic.
Beautiful
Doesn't
soul.
want people to know she's a psychic, but
Yeah.
she's certainly psychic.
yeah.
She told me and Joe would get married and he would be a cop one day.
Yeah,
That
just
happened.
Beautiful.
And you were like,
people.
yes, I'm making that happen. I am
said,
manifesting
"Please."
that.
I made Joe come get Reiki from him when we weren't dating. It's like the creepiest thing I've ever done, honestly.
Beautiful people in your life and beautiful second life. Like you're just happy and you're here and you're,
yeah.
Tell us about the Why Not Devin Foundation, though.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that.
Oh, thank you. So,
and how we can support and
well, you guys
Yeah.
are awesome in that you donate to my events, so that's amazing.
Always.
I have So Why Not Devin? That also has been a learning process, honestly. So because we had so much support and because we had so many people who helped us out, that's what I wanted to do for the community of DIPG. So there's one big foundation that funds research, and they were always like, the one piece we're missing is helping families. So we just helped fund a nurse navigation program through that larger organization that when a family's diagnosed, they can be paired up with this nurse navigation program, something I wish we had. They help them navigate the very uncharted waters of DIPG and what could be a treatment and what could be a trial and should you get a biopsy and not. And so we help fund that. And then through that, I filter most of my grants through there. And so families who are having financial hardship or want to go on a trip or want to honestly do anything, I've given grants from $3,000 to $15,000 grants to families, and
That's
they can
awesome.
literally use it for whatever they want. And
Beautiful.
thank you. It was, tough for a little while because before going through the nurse navigation program, I was meeting all the families, and it became so emotionally hard for me. Yeah, that I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And so the nurse navigation program has been awesome, but I have Devin Stash. It's always the first Sunday in November. We partner with another amazing organization that's local, that Jack Sabby. They are amazing. And then I have my other major fundraiser is the marathon. And so historically I've gotten bibs through the elected officials, and I'm hoping to go through the BAA this year.
Amazing.
But, and we partner with Luke and Bourbons, and they throw.
He just ran, right?
He ran
did
for
a
me.
good job. We saw him.
Yeah, he
running.
ran.
He was killing it.
Yeah, he ran for Why Not Devin, and we throw a big event there that we raise a lot of money and are able to support a lot of people. And both of those events are really people who donate. And then I'm going to get back to my DIPG mom retreat weekend. So
I remember.
Yeah, I haven't done it since COVID, and it's where I bring moms. I've done it at my house. I think I'm gonna maybe switch it up and do it at a place, like kind of a retreat place, and offer like Reiki and
Bali.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing, but
Hard to get to.
yeah. I mean, who cares? But yeah, it's got to be in a budget.
Yeah,
So
understood.
yeah, I mean that would be amazing. But
Well, that's awesome. Do you do that full time?
No.
Oh, no.
No,
I don't
no. I'm a single mama, so I have a full-time job. I work for an IT company, and
Customer service success.
customer success. Yes, merchandise. My brother.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I work with a lot of universities and K through 12 schools and nonprofits.
Cool.
And
She's soul busy.
I'm so busy. Yeah, I
really
merchandise for SCAM sometimes.
Cool.
I work at Loon so my kids can ski.
You're everywhere.
What?
She is the green Gumby on
She
the
doesn't sit down.
side of the road.
She is.
If a listener feels inclined to donate and be a part
Yeah.
of the foundation, can you give the website where they could go to
It's
donate?
super easy. It's the whynotdevinfoundation.org. And
Perfect.
we're looking for corporate sponsors for Devin Stash. We're looking at doing a little bit of like a different tactic. How can we raise more money? So having people fundraise as opposed to just show up and run a 5K. And we're going to have prizes for different increments, kind of like think back to like jump rope-a-thon that you maybe did when you were in elementary school.
No, I never did a jump
I didn't either.
rope-a-thon.
But no.
Please
but-
don't
I was
me
at
do
the
that.
bake sale,
Yes.
serving cupcakes and eating them.
Yes. So
Well,
Shut up.
That's a wonderful cause. And if anybody wants to follow you on social media, what's your handle?
So I'm meant to be me with 2 E's, or B is with 2 E's, not me. And Christine Soutter on Facebook. I don't Twitter or tweet or X,
Soutter.
whatever that
I
is.
don't either.
Soutter.
Christine Soutter.
Yep.
Well, we love you.
I love you guys
That was
so
amazing,
much.
Your
Christine,
story
thank you so
is
much.
just insane. Like
Thank
so incredible.
Thank you for sharing it.
You're
Thank
a big
you.
part of our journey. I'm honored to be a part of your journey in small
Oh
ways.
my God,
and
you guys
love you so
helped
much.
me on my journey more than you know. And I just like one other thing, like it's crazy that Erin and I have had like similar things. Like we had a similar breakup at the same time. We had and I have been in her chair like when shit is happening.
She loves you.
Oh my God,
so
she's like
much.
my
A person.
I know
and-
her and Nina together really truly love you so much.
Oh, I love that. I love everyone that you have here is like the most beautiful
Thank
family.
you. Thank you.
And that starts with you too. So
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
love
you.
It's
I
a
love you for
beautiful
everything
place.
you do for me. Thank
Get
you.
your hair
so
done at
much.
parlor for the rest of your life.
Yes, go to parlor. It's amazing.
No,
Yeah.
that's not what I meant.
No, but I will say that. Yes,
Christine's gonna vouch for us.
I do. What do you mean? I'm gonna vouch for you.
You are presently
Always.
vouching.
I presently-
We love you.
yes,
Thank you
I
for
love you.
being here.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Rock out. Rock out.